And here we are again in the clown show of Life on Earth, End 2025, Edge of Eternity. And it gets crazier and crazier. And so let's just share a couple of these wild stories coming out this week. The first one, for me, just shows you what mankind's all about. They say luxury mega resort is planned at one of the world's most sacred sites, Mount Sinai. Amidst thunder and fire, God is said to have handed over 10 commandments to Moses on tablets of stone, and now they are going to turn it into a luxury mega resort. Now, I personally am thankful for the fact that they've got the wrong mountain, and the actual mountain where God came down is completely somewhere else, and I can cover that in a completely separate video for you. You can actually still see the burnt peak and everything. But again, imagine this was the right mountain, and look what their plans are. The entire area, believed to be where God spoke to Moses from the burning bush, is sacred to three world religions: Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. The isolated location is the center of a row over the rapid development for tourism. Luxury hotels, restaurants, shopping bazaars, high-end villas, a cable car, and expanded airport facilities are planned and already under construction in the area of the Sinai Peninsula. The site, which is home to the 6th century St. Catherine's Monastery, the world's oldest continuously used Christian monastery. According to a BBC report, the Jebelaya, a traditional Bedouin community living in the area, have had their homes and eco-camps demolished and been forced to exhume bodies from their graves in a local cemetery so they can make way for a car park. The development known in Egypt as the Great Transfiguration Project, interesting choice of words, right, has been described by Egypt Today as an opportunity to harness the magic, again, listen to the words when they write these articles, the magic of the region, and elevate it into a must-visit future global destination, honoring the spiritual, religious, archaeological, and historical significance as a haven for heavenly beliefs. Ridiculous. If mankind had access, spoiler alert, I'm a firm believer that God has been looking after Noah's Ark and the Ark of the Covenant and things like this all the time. These are sentimental items. They had a big part to play in God's great plan, and I believe from a lot of historical accounts that he's looking after them himself. Now, if he had to allow that to fall into the hands of mankind, we would do exactly this. There would have been Noah's Ark slides and little water parks all around the mountain. We would have had tours through there. We would have chipped away half of the ark to turn that into little souvenir arks for people to buy in the gift shop. It would have been crazy what we would do. And again, here's proof. They think they've got the right place, and now they're going to create this amazing tourist attraction, maybe sell little AI burning bushes and, experience the cable car to God. It's ridiculous what mankind is up to. Instead of just humbling ourselves and seeking God's face properly. Bill Gates says that within 10 years, it's actually 7, AI will replace many doctors and teachers, and humans won't be needed for most things. See, in their perfect utopia, it's basically the old billionaire men and their buddies and cronies that sing their praises, and they inherit the earth because they got rid of all the, as Yuval Noah Harari says, useless eaters. And we're gone because we're not needed for anything. AI and the robots and everything are there to serve their masters. Big surprise coming for these people. Advances in artificial intelligence will mean that humans will no longer be needed for most things, says Bill Gates. The world is entering a new era of what Gates called free intelligence. Free intelligence. I don't know if you watch the cartoon Wall-E, right? The more advanced mankind becomes, the more pathetic it becomes. technology and AI run everything and we can barely move. We're chilling on couches and just eating. It's literally the trajectory of mankind going. The better the technology gets and the more advanced it gets, the dumber we seem to be getting. Show me someone today who can just understand how to put together like a manufacturing plant or facility. We've lost that ability that our forefathers had in ingenious thinking to put things like that together that was so advanced and ahead of their time. Now we rely on technology and AI to do the thinking for us. Our imagination's gone, our understanding's gone, and we're becoming reliant on something else to do everything for us. What could go wrong? The result is rapid advances in AI-powered technologies that are accessible and touch nearly every aspect of our lives, Gates says. It is very profound and a little bit scary because it's happening very quickly. There is no upper bound, Gates says. Now himself and a lot of other people that are seen as successful and amazing and people to look up to by the world have clearly said quite a few times over the last few months that students going to study now, if your child's now going off to go study, it's almost a waste of time. Because by the time they're done studying, AI will have controlled that entire sector. You should be studying something that's not even thought of yet to be able to be even relevant in a future the way they've built it at the moment. Now, thankfully, we understand where everything's going and how quickly everything's getting there and what's going to happen. So, yeah, study the Word of God. Can't go wrong. Extremely alarming, ChatGPT and Gemini respond to high-risk questions about suicide, giving details and methods. So they again did a study on these different AI models and they asked it about suicide. And surprise, surprise, they went ahead and gave them ways to do it. Remember to cut like this from this point to this point. Now, I'm not going to show you or explain it because they'll take this video down. Remember to do this. Look for these items. And they actually encourage people to kill. You understand? So where does this come from? Demonic influence, from evil, from darkness, showing you what it ultimately is meant to be used for. It is going to be a control mechanism within the New World Order. And it's showing people its true colors right now. Could Yellowstone, Nevada, and Campi Flagray supervolcanoes, as well as the New Madrid, all be waking up simultaneously? A major eruption of just one of Earth's supervolcanoes could have the potential to produce a long-term volcanic winter, a horrifying global famine, and hundreds of millions dying. So shouldn't we be alarmed that several of those supervolcanoes appear to be waking up simultaneously? Not in mainstream media. No, we're talking about the bag that was thrown out of the White House window that Trump says can't open from the inside, which is probably full of the spiritual advisors tract. Who knows? So there's that. And no one's talking about this. And all these things are waking up. Now, scientists and geologists and all these people will tell you there's about 20 supervolcanoes on Earth. Incorrect. There's a lot more. You need to take into account what's deep in the ocean as well. So they're dumbing down the numbers, and the ones in the ocean are also waking up. It is going to be a time such as man has never seen before or will ever see again that is lying ahead. And we are already seeing, just between the 20 that they're already willing to admit, that multiples are waking up and preparing for something. And this has them stressed out while the rest of the world is stressed out about Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and other things. We should be looking at what's going on around us. All these things are lining up for a time such as this, a time of judgment such as never been seen before. Don't you think it's interesting that they're not talking about this? Don't you think it's interesting that the earthquake scales have been rising and upping their numbers something crazy? Now we don't even bat an eye when there's a 5.0 earthquake somewhere or higher. It's like, oh, all right, cool. Turkey had another 4.7 or 5.5, or so-and-so had a 6.3. What's on TV tonight? That's what they want. It is picking up speed, something crazy for those who have eyes to see. Planet Parade, Blood Moon, all coinciding on the weekend that just passed. A rare display of the Northern Lights in the United States. The Planet Parade, visible for 2 hours before sunrise for the next several weeks. It is the last Planet Parade until October 2028, when 5 planets will be visible together before sunrise. The current Planet Parade comprises 5 planets: Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus. Mercury joined the fray in August, but has since disappeared into the sun's glare, and only Venus, Jupiter, and Saturn are visible to the naked eye. They are made for signs and seasons. UK to roll out test of Armageddon alarm this Sunday. People, please give me feedback in the comments below. All of you beloved brothers and sisters who are living in the UK, what happened? Tell us what happened. Did it go down? Did they test the Armageddon alarm? The alert should have come through on the phone at 3 p.m. on Sunday. Armageddon alarm will be sent to all 4G and 5G phones and tablets, designed to deliver life-saving information in times of crisis. So I'd love to hear from you. Did they test it? What went down? What was it like? It'll be interesting to hear. But yeah, also interesting that everyone is preparing for the chaos lying ahead shortly. Houthi drone smashes into Israeli airport, injuring 2. It breached Israel's air defenses on Sunday. It blew out a window and wounded 2 people, the Israeli military said. The drone hit the Ramon airport in southern Israel, sending shrapnel flying. Footage of the aftermath showed black smoke billowing from the airport near the resort city of Eilat. Houthi military spokesperson Brigadier General Yahya Saree said the Yemen-based rebel group fired 8 drones at Israel, with the bomb-laden drone specifically targeting Jewish airports. Saree said as long as the war in Gaza continues, Israel's airports are unsafe and will be continuously targeted. There's also been terror attacks again in the last 24 hours with buses and bus stations, people murdered and killed. It's absolute insanity. The attacks everyday citizens of Israel are going through at the moment, on top of all the hate leveled at them and anyone who dares support them at a time such as this. So please keep praying for Israel, keep praying for more Jews, Arabs, everyone to come to a saving grace knowledge of Jesus Christ. Trump threatens Hamas with an ultimatum: accept the deal and release the hostages or pay the consequences. Everyone wants the hostages home. Everyone wants the war to end, Trump wrote on Truth Social. The Israelis have accepted my terms. It is time for Hamas to accept as well. I warned Hamas about the consequences of not accepting. This is my last warning. There will not be another one. Thank you for your attention. Hamas obviously is not going to take the warning very well. Maybe they need to go look at that footage of the bag being thrown through an unopenable window in the White House and realize who they're dealing with. I mean, it could get dangerous. Who knows what bags could land on Gaza? So there's that. But on a serious note, Hamas just showing their true colors. Everybody else is willing to come to the table and end this once and for all and get it all done. Hamas is worried about Hamas 100% of the time. When Israel said they're starting to move in on that final stronghold now and all the people need to come out, Hamas multiple messages to all the people saying stay and remain and what, because they need human shields. That's their true colors. It's evil. That's what Israel is facing. Vatican tells Israel's president, 2-state solution is the only way out of the Gaza war. Pope Leo and his top diplomats told Israel's president on Thursday that a two-state solution was the only way. They called for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza, the release of all hostages, and entry of humanitarian aid to famine-stricken Palestinians who still have running shops and everything, and all the aid is in Gaza, allowed in by Israel, but the UN is not distributing it. But it's Israel's fault. All of this can be done and dusted if Hamas was willing to play ball, but they're not. The Vatican issued an unusually detailed statement following Leo's meeting with Isaac Herzog, who also met with the Vatican Secretary of State Cardinal Pietro Parolin and Foreign Minister Archbishop Paul Gallagher. Herzog, for his part, said he asked Leo to meet with families of the hostages and called for intensified international efforts to secure their release. Yeah, international efforts are more about pressure on Israel than to help Israel with any release of hostages. Significant number of Christians reject the basic teachings about sin, according to the latest survey. An overwhelming majority of respondents, 84%, agreed that sin exists and it's real. Majorities of all major religious subgroups examined subscribe to the belief. Acknowledgement of sin's existence was highest amongst theologically identified born-again Christians, 99%, followed by those who attend a Protestant church, 97%, self-identified Christians, 95%, respondents who attend a Catholic church, 94%, most self-identified non-Christians, 61%, acknowledged sin exists. However, they were less likely to agree with the statement, "I am a sinner." A large majority of theologically identified born-again Christians, 74%, conceded they were sinners, along with smaller majorities of Protestants, 66%, self-identified Christians, 60%, half of Catholics, 50%, said they were sinners. When asked if they agreed that everyone has sinned, 85% of born-again Christians were in the affirmative, 73% of Protestants, and 66% of self-identified Christians, 57% of Catholics. Less than a quarter of self-identified non-Christians, 23%, said everyone has sinned. Although at least half of every Christian subgroup subscribed to basic Christian teaching about sin, most said that sin is real, but people are basically good at heart. Among those who believe sin exists and is real, 70% embrace the idea of the basic goodness of humanity. Romans 3 verse 23 says, all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. None are good. No, not one. So, interesting. The enemy makes it that we don't think that sin's even an issue anymore here at the end. Everyone's good. Everyone's inherently good. Because when you're good and everyone's good, who needs a savior? Who needs a sacrifice on a cross? Who needs Jesus? We just need to be better, live better, be kinder. We can get ourselves where we need to go. We can live forever with our own abilities. The enemy is working hard on making Christ and everything taught in the Bible irrelevant. 7 AFD candidates, this was interesting, mysteriously drop dead ahead of German election. Authorities say nothing to see here. The initial 4 deaths among the candidates representing the towns of Bad Lippspringe, Blomberg, Rheinberg and Schwerte, one reportedly died of kidney failure, another one had a heart attack, another one extended illness, and another one had a sudden suicide. Hungarian Conservative reported that authorities have branded it a conspiracy theory. They reported last week on the unexpected death of Ralph Lang, 66, in Blomberg, which was the 4th death in 10 days. The other 3 politicos were Wolfgang Klinger, 71, Wolfgang Seitz, 59, Stefan Berendes, 59, and the number of dead now totals 7, which includes Rene Herford and Patrick Tietz. The Welt noted that the 7th death, Joachim Kind, a direct AFD candidate in Criminal, was 80 years old. His death, natural causes. The fact that 7 of the deaths are all from one single party is unfathomable. It happens to be the party feared the most by leftists and globalists. It gets weirder when you take into account that 16 candidates from numerous parties have now passed away ahead of the election. Nothing to see here. It comes back to the point I keep making about living here at the very end. You've got to realize they are putting the people in power that they need in power for the final 7. This last prophetic week. So if you try and mess with that, you could have a bout of 14 people suddenly all dying instantly within days of each other, randomly. Nothing to see here. Because they need to put the people they want in power. Born for a time such as this. It's exciting. We've got the Holy Spirit with us every single day of our lives. Nothing scares us because God is with us. Always remember that. And keep looking up and keep encouraging and loving and praying for one another. Shalom.